Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and process some of these specimens. This one I think I'll just hang on to for a bit and put it in the refrigerator after I give it a collection number. The main thing I want to do right now is to find the host root tissue off of the rhizome, and I don't know if I can actually show that here, but you can see those fibrous looking things. Those are not the host root. I mean, those are not the root of the parasite. Those are actually the root of the host plants that it's parasitizing. Hyabinke is kind of unique in that it has these very fleshy rhizomes that are underground, and every place that there's a rhizome bract or a leaf bract or bractlet, wherever a host root makes contact, it can actually latch onto it with a secondary organ of attachment called a haustorium. And so all of these fibrous attachments are the host roots that are actually being tapped into by Hyabinke. It's parasitizing the host through these secondary haustoria. So the thing I have to do is to actually pick off the host root tissues. And I'm going to just try to find the biggest ones that have the most tissue that I might be able to get a DNA extraction from. So that one looks pretty good. I want to just make sure that it's actually attached, physically attached, like this one is actually physically attached to the haustorium, so I'm just going to pick all that off. It actually looks like it's attached to in several places. So I'll just pull that off. And I'm going to put that in a collection envelope. Do the same thing for all the rest of them. It's really nice when you get a very large root that you can get a lot of DNA from, but that doesn't always happen, so I just want to confirm that it's physically attached before I put it in the collection envelope. And it's a pretty tedious thing, so it'll take a while to get all that done. Okay, so I've actually put these into their envelopes now, and I ended up with 7 of these envelopes for the host root tissue, and so I'm going to put those in the silica gel with the other samples now. The most interesting thing here that I'm going to do is to actually dissect into the rhizome and see if there's anything in here. This one's not squishy, so I'm suspecting that there's nothing actually living inside. But there's a couple that are feeling pretty rotted, and usually that's a sign that there's either a grub in there or some ants colonizing the stem. So I'm actually going to keep the vouchers together. I think this one is with this stem here. So I'll keep that together when I'm pressing it. This one, let's see. I think that was with this one, and this one is part of this here. All that goes together. So basically when I'm pressing them, I want to just slice them down the middle because it'll make it dry a little bit faster. So I have to get a big knife. And this specimen, oh, it's got a little spider in there and a little earwig type thing. I'm just going to slice it down the middle and open it up and see if there's any surprises. And that one's actually very clean, so nothing inside that one. I'll just press that together. I don't need to take all of that rhizome, I'll just take part of it. And slice that down the middle, and that'll go in the plant press together. This one I just want to see if there's anything inside it, so I'm going to cut it down the middle. And again, that one doesn't have anything growing inside it. Again, that one's clean. And this one may be a different story, we'll see. Nope, nothing inside that one either. Interesting. Just split this for the herbarium press. Yes, there are some things inside here. And it just kind of looks like, oh, there's some little tiny ants. Oh, interesting. Ooh, this is really interesting. There's some very, very small ants in here. Oh, wow. So I think what I'm seeing here, inside these little holes, things that look kind of brownish, are little ant colonies. And this is really interesting because these ants are very small, like half a millimeter or so in length. And so this is really interesting to me because I think that what I'm seeing here are some colonies that are just getting started. Oh, and there's a bigger ant right there. Very interesting. Hello. Not quite sure what I want to do with this. Oh, look, yes, 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 there's some little larvae in here. Okay, well that's very interesting. Okay, I'm going to try to set that aside for just a minute, because that's interesting. That looks like the beginning of a little ant colony. So I will, I think what I'm going to do is just set that aside for just a minute, and I'm going to collect the ants separately. This earwig does not belong on my plant. Thank you very much. I'm going to split this for the herbarium press. And that looks pretty good. The seeds are starting to develop. I don't see any ants taking any of the seed out right there. But the one that's going to be most interesting to me here is this one that looks pretty rotted. And could be something like just a grub in there. It could be something more interesting. We'll see. I'm just going to split this down, this section down first. Ooh, it's all rotted. And the question is that rotting because there was a larvae in there, or is that because there have been some ants in here? Let's take a look at this part of it. I've got all sorts of bugs coming out. That's last year's, I think. It's all hollowed out. I don't see anything in here right now, but there's like little chambers all through there. Looks like that might have been a nest last year. I don't see any activity right now, though. That's very interesting. I noticed that there were a lot of the old inflorescences from last year still above ground, and the flower were dried. Flower corollas were still dried on the stalk, which is really interesting. So apparently, it looks like this might have been an old nest, and the one that looks most interesting right now is this one. And it's full of ants, really, just crawling. So I'm going to just drop that into some alcohol, I think.